Well, the stock market yo-yo over the past few sessions makes one thing clear. If President Trump's mission was to make millionaires and billionaires richer, this wouldn't be the way to do it. The New York Times admitting as much when it says, quote, tech CEOs spent millions courting Trump. It has yet to pay off.
A good time to remind everyone of the rhetoric from the Hill. Take a listen.
This is all just about, campaign promises to help those people who are seated around President Trump, the titans of industry, the billionaires who he works for.
Those billionaires had better seats at Donald Trump's inauguration than Trump's own cabinet members. Those billionaires dominate the American economy.
House Democrats on the side of the American people, and House Republicans on the side of their billionaire puppet masters and donors.
Notice they don't say millionaires anymore because the secret's out that they are all millionaires.
Yeah.
So take a look at the so-called puppet masters complaining over market volatility, acting more like day traders than investment leaders. The president, meanwhile, is staying the course. With us now is former RNC national spokesperson Elizabeth Pipko. Well, the incredible thing, Trump has had a term before. We saw what happened. After his 2017 tax cuts, 60% of taxpayers got a tax cut. As far as the rich are concerned, the top 1% went from paying 40% of all income tax to 45% of all income tax. So the rich paid more. The blue-collar, middle-class workers had more money in their pocket and less money going to the government.
Yeah, look, I want to bring this back to what's actually happening here. It's people forgetting that most of what they put out into the world doesn't hold anymore. People actually know what Donald Trump stands for. I want to bring this back to tariffs. That's what everyone is talking about right now. Why is Donald Trump talking so passionately and powerfully about these tariffs? What do they represent, right? Why does he want these jobs to come back? These over 5 million jobs that our country has lost over the last 30 years. It's because of the people who put him back into the Oval Office. These are the people, the forgotten men and women of this country, as he calls them. Those that, by the way, usually belonged to the Democrat Party before Donald Trump came along. What happens if these jobs come back? Donald Trump takes the power from the financial sector and puts it back into the middle of the country. He takes it from the coastal cities, New York and California, and brings it to the middle of this country. Those that have been hurting, those who believe the system doesn't work for him anymore. That's why Donald Trump is talking so powerfully about these tariffs. It's what they represent for America. He only works for the American people.
And part of the situation, Elizabeth, that we find ourselves in was reckless, drunken spending by the Democrats. So they focus on the billionaires and the oligarchs that they call, people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg, who were all at inauguration. But at the same time, they never admit that they have contributed to the grand colossal mess that we find ourselves in right now.
Well, first of all, they never admit to anything,
right?
And they think that they can get away with it. The problem is for them, Democrats have almost caught on completely as well. That's why they're losing so many voters. They're losing young people. They're losing Black Americans. They're losing Hispanic Americans. Look at the numbers Donald Trump picked up on November 5th and from which minority groups. Democrats had a stronghold on so many people in this country. They lost that ever since Donald Trump came onto the scene in 2015 because he spoke the truth. That's why they're struggling right now so much. They don't know how to lie anymore to the American people because they see through all of it.
Elizabeth, I want to move to this. Hollywood stars still think they have say in politics. Star of the popular show The Handmaid's Tale publicly flipping out on Disney and Jeff Bezos for not speaking out against President Trump, saying, quote, it's interesting, especially when you look at all the people who I've worked for over the years lined up at the Trump inaugurations, staying silent while their daughters' rights are being torn away. I'm pissed at all the people I work for, like effing speak up. If you run Disney, which I guess I work for now, speak the effing up. And Jeff Bezos, effing speak up.
There's a lot of F's.
What do you think?
Well, if there's anything we learned from Snow White, now you know, if you want to insult half the country and lose any viewers for your movie or TV show, this is the way to do it. So good for him. He's done it. It's sad. It's disappointing. And I wish they showed a little more respect for the people in the country that they disagree with, because that's who they're really insulting here, right? Not the billionaires. But Unfortunately, this is
But
what
they're
we've done.
insulting the billionaires as
They're
well.
insulting everybody, but
And
unfortunately,
you really
it's-
can break that statement down. He's talking about women there. Donald Trump is actually all for women. For example, keeping transgenders out of women's sports and trying to protect women. That's something that the Democrats, it's amazing to me. I'm not really sure what rights he's talking about when he's talking about that.
Well, the problem is they believe in groupthink, right? They believe that every single woman in the country agrees with them on abortion. They don't realize when they're talking about women's rights, they're talking about half the country that agrees with them and votes along with them.
Right.
That's all that they care about.
Right.
There was something that happened in New York, and it's been happening in a lot of cities. Last night, not as spectacularly as last night in Grand Central Station, when a group of protesters, and I call them protesters, they were rioters,
Right.
and they were rioters defending terrorists, were preventing commuters from going back to their family for dinner after work. What do you make of this? I mean, it's some incredible footage of what was going on there.
It is. So, number one, anti-Semitism is a huge issue. It's become mainstream in the last few years. It's really disappointing. But number two, when you look at what happened yesterday, it happened for two reasons. Number one, the young people in our country are disrespectful, ironically uneducated, considering they go to some of the best schools in the world, and incredibly ignorant.
And they're allowed to do whatever they
They
want
are.
by the city
Well,
leaders.
they're breeding this ideology at those schools.
Right, and they're also doing it in blue cities
Yeah.
across the country where all leadership has their own lawlessness out the window. That's the problem. That's why this is allowed to happen.
It's unbelievable. I commute, I use Grand Central and Penn Station, and I think about what that would feel like when you're watching that footage, to be stuck in that.
And what do these people think of the protesters themselves? They really think they're going to win over the commuters that they were preventing from
Right.
going home?
No, doesn't work like that.
It's
No,
just crazy.
It's so sad, but they're only losing themselves, right? They're waving the flags of terrorist groups on United States soil. It's really disappointing, and I hope they wake up.
I think they will. Elizabeth, great to see you.
Great to see
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
being here.
much.
Thank you all for watching. That does it for us. We'll see you back here next time.
Great to be with you.
Thank you. Same here.